Rugby news now. The Junior Springboks comfortably beat the Varsity Cup Dream Team 50-19. This at the Dani Craven Stadium in Stellenbosch a short while ago. This, of course, was their last warm-up match before they venture off to the Rugby World Cup Under-20 Championships next month. Wishing them the best of luck, and hopefully they can come back with a trophy once again. Now let's quickly move over to Port Elizabeth. We will continue with our interviews tonight as the only team that gave South African fans a reason to smile last weekend. In fact, my show producer Tando Mqoli specifically wrote that. We saw it fit to speak to a man who has been given a lot of credit for the improvement of the Southern Kings. From out of Port Elizabeth studios, as I said, Southern Kings backline coach Vuyo Zangqa joins us. Good evening, Vuyo. Welcome to Sports on Prime. Thank you very much for joining us. How are you doing, bud?
Good evening, Tavisa. Thank you very much for inviting me.
That intro I just read, ne? Tando Mqoli said I must read it exactly like that. Great performance nonetheless. It was a great performance from the Southern Kings.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we basically, when we toured, we looked at a couple of things and how we could improve the team. And a couple of things worked for us on tour, and we're looking forward to carrying on with the performance.
You guys are playing a game plan that seems to be, getting better and getting the best of players like, Lionel Cronje and outside backs. When you got the job, what did you get, to get out of this team? I mean, how do you turn those performances around? Because we always knew that they had it in them, but it's as if they needed that little pinch or little fire in the bum to get them firing up. And that's exactly how they turned out over the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you look at obviously all the players that we have, it's players that are coming from backgrounds that basically played rugby in the Eastern Cape, and they're playing for the Eastern Cape side. So we've just introduced one or two things, which is mostly freedom and obviously the enjoyment part of rugby. And I guess the fact that they always felt like they were not under pressure at this point, but they didn't take that too much pressure on them, but definitely the boys they've enjoyed themselves, and they're looking forward to playing every weekend.
I mean, I was listening to the interview after that match, and your captain said, it's such a sad day with the best performance of one of the best performances they've put in, and the news that they are out of Super Rugby come next year. Adversity seems to follow the franchise and plague them, especially with Super Rugby in existence and doubts for next season. But overall, this is good for rugby in the province. It shows that the belief of putting them in Super Rugby was very guaranteed and warranted, actually.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously Saru hasn't made the decision yet on which team is going to be falling out. But, I mean, there's a lot of speculation out there in terms of the Kings, in terms of the Cheetahs. I just think if we look at everything that has happened this past year, the Eastern Cape do really need rugby within the province. And some of the players, I mean, if you look at the top players in South Africa at the moment in terms of which come from the Eastern Cape, some of the Stormers boys are coming from the Eastern Cape. Yeah. Some of the Kings boys that we have are coming from the Eastern Cape, and even some of the Sharks boys. Yeah. So it could be really sad for such a province to lose that mentorship in terms of this rugby.
I mean, you've played rugby in the area. The talent coming out of schools like Grey PE, Del Selborne, Queens, St Andrews, where their facilities exist. But the appetite for the game still exists in the disadvantaged areas. In your personal capacity, what is the importance of playing the game close to home? Example, Lionel Cronje as well played his best rugby when he was a schoolboy star at Queens, and he was found that magical form at Port Elizabeth while playing for the Kings after failing at the Sharks and Bulls.
Yeah, I think if you look at it's a lot more important that obviously Eastern Cape keep their franchise here in terms of that whole mentorship and that whole hero type thing to look forward to when the players are coming out of high school. And I think it just brings a different vibe in terms of, I mean, parents now can find it closer to come watch their boys play for the provincial sides. And definitely, I think it will be boosting for the province to keep the union running on this side, and especially like you say, I mean, these boys like schools like Grey producing boys Recently in the previous St. John's festival, Hudson Park was performing quite well. And as we know, Dale, Selborne and Queens are always in the top performers in South Africa. Yeah. So it'd be definitely good for the province to keep the franchise here, and definitely having, in terms of that, weighing forward for the country.
Let's come back to Vuyo a little bit. You came back from Kenya. When we said that we were speaking to you tonight, a lot of people were like, good job, he's back. Your stint as a coach, how do you enjoy it, especially at the sevens level?
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a lot in terms of. I think I learned a lot as a coach. I was starting out obviously with the Bliss box, and before I moved to Kenya, I think just a different culture, just a different mindset in terms of that helped my coaching quite a lot, and obviously to join the King structures to be under Dion, Coach Dion Davids, it helped quite a lot because he's been in the rugby for quite some time, and he knows what he's talking about, and he knows what he's doing. So I've definitely been under his capable hands, and just been taking every day and learning every game.
New management structure at the franchise. The best of luck to them. Obviously, from here on in, it's all the way up. And as far as you guys, in particular on the grounds, the structures of rugby is concerned, but the office seems to be coming around as well after, let me say, years of bad vibes. Let me put it that way, to be blunt.
Yeah, I think it's also quite interesting for us that obviously the changes that have come through within the province, with the new president being elected, with the new vice president being elected. So I think there's a lot of excitement within the province, and especially that win against the Waratahs sort of brought that excitement even amongst the locals. So it will be good to see what's going to happen this weekend in terms of people coming out to watch us play the Rebels, and hopefully the boys can pull out a big performance.
Yeah, Vuyo Zangqa joining us from our studios in PE. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, sir. Much appreciated for your time. One of the legends of the game. We wishing the. Unfortunately, in fact, fortunately for me, I'd like not to see you guys go, because I think the Kings, they deserve their chance to be in Super Rugby. As you said, unfortunately, the announcement has not been made yet, so hopefully they do keep you in. Vuyo Zangqa speaking to us from our studios in PE. Thank you very much indeed.